Did he hit you?
Yeah.
Where did he hit you?
I heard my daughter scream. He bust my lip.
Well, then how could you be walking away if he hit you and the face? You're right in front of each other.
When I walked away,
yeah,
he followed me, and then he came.
Yeah, but you were facing him when he hit you. You weren't walking away when he hit you.
No, I wasn't facing him.
How did he hit you in the mouth?
This is the plaintiff, Dominique. She says her nasty neighbor swung a 2x4 at her head and was promptly arrested by the police and thrown in jail. This guy's ruined her life. She's had it with his insane antics, and she's here suing him for the $4,999 she surely owed. This is the defendant, Darren Henry. He says the plaintiff is the out-of-control one here because she attacked his girlfriend. She resisted arrest, had to pay restitution, and he just wants her to leave him alone. He lost work due to all of this, and if anyone's owed money today, it's surely not the plaintiff. He's accused of losing it. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $4,999.99 for lost wages and an anger management class.
All parties, please hit your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Millian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Millian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right. Ms. Dominique, you are suing Mr. Henry, who is still or is no longer your neighbor?
No longer my neighbor.
No longer your neighbor. For $4,999 that you say you are out as a result of, I guess, getting falsely arrested by his girlfriend. So tell me what's going on. And you have a counterclaim against her for getting arrested due to her. All right. What start from the beginning. What happened here?
So on the day that the incident happened with Mr. Henry, I was with my daughter. He was about to go to do laundry. It was around 7 o'clock. I kind of procrastinated, wasn't really in a good mood to go, but I had to. I pulled out. I got in my car while my daughter stayed near my apartment.
How old's your daughter?
At the time, she was 9.
Okay.
Turned about to be 10. She's 12 now.
Okay.
I got in the car, got out of the parking spot, tried to drive into the driveway.
Okay, so your car had been in a parking spot.
Yes.
But you moved it into the driveway in order to load the laundry?
Yes.
Because your parking spot was too far away?
Yeah, it was all the way down the block, and I can't carry heavy things because I have lupus.
Okay. So you pull into the driveway, and what?
Well, before I was able to drive into the driveway, he stopped in front of my car, so I won't.
He stopped in a car or in person in front of your car?
In front of my car.
Okay.
It was him. His whole body blocked my car.
Okay.
So I attempted to keep going, and then
why would you do that?
Out of my, so that he can move. I don't think he would stand there to get hit by a car.
Okay. Had there already been problems between the two of you regarding the parking space?
In that incident, that was the first time I ever met him. It come to my.
Well, then why would you want to run him over? I would assume there was something wrong with him and he was nuts. I wouldn't want to run him over.
No, I was asking him to move, but he would not move.
So then you were angry, so you kept going? With your 9-year-old in the car? Exactly. That's why I wouldn't keep rolling.
She's not in the car.
Where is your 9?
She's not in the car.
Where is she?
She's in the house bringing the laundry down.
Okay. And so you're rolling forward, expecting him to move, and what happens?
He moved out my way, and I pulled into the parking spot. He came around where the driver's side where I was at, and he said, "This is my house and this is my driveway." And I said, I'm just putting my laundry here. I'm not parking. So I go to turn. He follows me around the car, and I'm talking, when I went to go speak with my daughter to grab the bag from her, all I realized I was on the floor. Everything went black.
Did he hit you?
My daughter scream. Yeah.
Where did he hit you?
I heard my daughter scream. He bust my lip.
Well, then how could you be walking away if he hit you in the face? You're right in front of each other.
When I walked away,
yeah,
he followed me, and then he came.
Yeah, but you were facing him when he hit you. You weren't walking away when he hit you.
No, I wasn't facing him.
How did he hit you in the mouth?
He hit me when I wasn't looking.
Right, but how could he hit you in the mouth when you're not?
He hit me on the side. So when I'm facing my daughter, he's right here on the side of me.
Okay.
So when he hits me, I drop to the side.
Okay. And then what happens?
And when I got up and I realized I'm bleeding everywhere, and my daughter screamed, and I looked at him. I said, "Did you just hit me?" Because I wasn't facing him and I wasn't talking to him. And then he picked up a 2x2, a 2x4 wood and starts to swing at me. And I'm like, are you serious? And then he drops it, and then he runs in the back of his house. I call the cops right away, and the cops come, and instantly when they see my face, they was like, "Did you just hit her? Did you hit her?" He comes out of his house, and then when they came and they asked him, "Did you hit her?" I didn't want to go to the hospital because I have my daughter. And I know in the Bronx, when you take your child in the emergency room, the counselor comes and you want to talk to you because you have your kid with you. They don't allow in the emergency room when you're being treated.
Okay, so can I ask you, Mr. Henry, what happened when she drove up to get her laundry and drove onto what you feel is your parking space?
All right, what she said is totally false. It's totally the opposite of that. I was on my way to go play basketball across the street in the park. She was coming up the street in her car, and she was about to turn into the driveway. So I was standing there, and I told her, I was like, "Can't park in the driveway." So she screamed out when she was in the car, like profanity, saying, this, that. The heck with your driveway. And then she pressed on the gas and turned right into the driveway. I moved out the way. So, okay, she done did that. Then she got out the car. Now I'm standing on the passenger side of her car. She walks around to the back of the car, comes around and comes up in my face. So she, had her fist balled up and she bumped me.
Wait, she did what?
No,
Ms. Dominique, don't interrupt. Mr. Henry, she did what?
She bumped me.
Bumped you how? What does that mean?
Like she just came in my face and she bumped me.
Did she or didn't she touch you?
Body-wise, she touched me. She didn't hit me with her hands or anything. But the way she was standing and the way she was positioned, I thought she was going to hit me. So my response was to defend myself, and I punched her first. And then when I punched her, she rolled back towards the back of the car, and then she got up and she jumped up and she said that didn't hurt. And then I walked away and I went upstairs and I called the cops. And then when the cops came, I came downstairs. The cops asked me, did I hit her? And I said yes. After that, they didn't ask me no other questions. They immediately put the cuffs on me and put me in the car. And then after that, they proceeded to talk to her after the fact. Okay? There was none of that extra stuff that she...
Well, what happened in court?
They said that because of the fact that I hit her, but they said that the
Did you plead guilty or didn't you?
To the hitting her? Yes, I did.
Okay.
And you can't have this charge if the person used an object or anything like that to try to hit somebody or anything like that. I did not have a 2x4 in my hand.
So why didn't you just fight the case? You ended up pleading guilty to the case.
It was a lot of reasons why I didn't fight the case.
Okay.
Because of my job. I'm a teacher for the Department of Education. All right. I didn't. Can
I ask you something? Why didn't you just, if she chest bumped you, which means she's kind of aggressive, why wouldn't you just turn around and walk away? Why would you punch her?
You got to understand something. The woman tried to hit me with a car. Okay?
Right, and you're angry and you walk around. I got to decide whether you're scared and you punched in self-defense because she tried to hit you with the car, or whether you were jawing at her, get out of my parking space, get out of my parking space. You pled guilty and agreed to do anger management, right, Mr. Henry?
Yeah.
10 sessions of anger management. And then were you on probation, or no, they dismissed it after you did the anger management, or what happened? Or you pled guilty to it and you...
I was supposed to do 12 months of probation.
Right.
And not to be nowhere near her, and to do the anger management. And that was it.
And then what happened to the case after you did that? What would happen to the case? Did it stay on your record?
No, they said that if I agreed to those terms, that it wouldn't stay on my record.
Okay, I got you.
And that it would be dismissed.
So let me ask you, Ms. Dominique, because you're the one bringing a lawsuit. At some point, everything we just talked about happened in May of 2018. Okay, so at some point, you get into a confrontation with his girlfriend?
Yeah.
And what day did that happen?
That was October 15th.
Ooh, that's way later. All right, and what happens?
I guess she was defending him.
5 months later, 5 months later, she's defending him. And you live right next door to each other.
I don't hang out outside. I don't go outside. I go and I come. I've never seen these people.
But you go and you come every day. What difference does that make? It's 5 months later. I think you were having your own problem. But what happened 5 months later? Tell me about it.
Well, she goes to try to hit me, and I said, relax. I don't want to fight. And my daughter's upstairs in the house. I'm like, I don't want to fight. And then she's steady trying to come at me. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get hit twice. Coming from the Bronx, never getting punched in the face, and then coming to Connecticut and being punched in the face.
Twice, or potentially twice. So what did you do?
I hit her. I said, you're not going to keep hitting me. So I protected myself. I hit her once, and I nicely walked away.
Nicely walked away after hitting her. Same thing he did.
Because I wasn't in a point where.
But she had not hit you. She was jawing at you. She was talking.
She was trying to hit me.
Oh, the exact same situation that he was describing. So according to you, she's trying to.
That's not the same situation.
How not?
It's not the same situation because I never came towards him. I never bumped him. I never bore my fist up.
So tell me what his girlfriend did that caused you to clock her. What did his girlfriend do? What did she say or do?
And his wife is big. No, she was like, listen, I don't know what happened, but you know what? And then instantly she came trying to grab me. And I pushed her away. I said, stop. I'm not trying to fight. And then she's still coming towards me. I'm like, you know what? Because she's like in between her car and me. So I'm like,
and what's she saying?
Car door. She's like, I don't know what happened between the two of you, but in that day, he had told, when me and him had an incident, he says, I want my wife or my girlfriend. I'm calling my girlfriend. So his intentions was for her to fight me.
Okay, but what happened in October? She's coming at you, and then what did you do?
Yeah, I pushed her away, and I told her I don't want to fight. She's still coming and coming and coming at me, so I hit her.
Okay, so she didn't hit you. She's just jawing at you and coming in your space.
She grabbed me.
Oh, you missed that part. Okay, so she grabbed your clothes.
I pushed her off me.
Right.
I pushed her off me.
Okay, and then?
I don't want to fight.
Okay.
And when I pushed her off me, she kept coming back. And, you know, I'm going to protect myself. I'm not going to get hit.
So you hit her, and then what happens? The police came, right?
The police came. I was upstairs in the house.
And you got arrested?
Yes.
Okay. And how long did you spend in jail?
Which is weird because of both people. I spent two months.
Why did you spend 2 months in jail?
I have a bad lawyer.
Right, but it can't be your first offense. Did you have other charges besides the punch?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to.
They put risk of injury to a child because she told the cops that my daughter was in the car crying when she was in the house. So she lied to the police.
Risk of injury to the child.
Yes, and she was in the house. She never seen anything.
But when you say, wait, stop a second. When did they put risk of injury to the child? That same day when they arrested you? What were you arrested for? Because I have the records. What were you arrested for exactly?
Assault and risk of injury to a child.
All right. So you're in jail for 2 months. Who watched your daughter during that time?
My sister.
Okay. And then you get out of jail, and then what happens? You go to court for the case, and what do? Do you fight the case?
My lawyer told me that she cannot win the case, so because she couldn't win the case, that I should take an AR.
And an AR is a?
Is like a rehabilitation program,
it's something where they just like, it means you sit tight and do certain things they tell you to do, like they told you to pay her restitution, right?
Yeah, that's what it was.
And then they'll dismiss it afterwards?
Yes.
Did you also get charged with resisting an officer?
Yeah, I told them I couldn't get in. I couldn't get in the back seat. I can't get in. I have claustrophobic, and I asked if they can call the ambulance. And they didn't want to call the ambulance because I can't get in a cop car.
Can you get in a regular car?
Well, but not with handcuffs in the back seat. And in Connecticut, I can't do it. I think
they think you could do it. I think that's what they think, and you were just refusing to do it. All right, so according to you, ambulances don't come to take you from point A to the pokey. They don't do that. It's the police who do that. Anyway, so you are suing for the restitution that you have to pay to his girlfriend because you think this is his, but you're not suing his girlfriend. You're suing him.
It's an order of protection. If it all came down, if he would not have hit me, I've never had issues with a neighbor. If he would not have hit me, all these things would not have trickled down. Since he hit me, everything's been bad.
You blame him even for losing your child, because at this point you've lost custody of your child?
Yeah, they've been lying, yes. They've been lying ever since. She told the cops that, she was with me, she wasn't with me. Why didn't he get risk of injury to a child? My daughter was right in front of me.
Yeah, there's got to be more problems than you had a problem with a neighbor. There has to be. But you have a counterclaim against her for $4,999.99, just to not be upped by her. And that would be for lost wages and the cost of anger management. The $800 that anger management cost you and your lost wages. Why did you lose wages because of her from July through August?
Because my job told me that I cannot work.
Whose fault is that? You punched her and you pled guilty to it. Whose fault is that? How about you not punch her? How about that? Then you would, maybe that's the reason that you...
I said that I punched her. I denied it. I punched. I didn't even want this, okay? I didn't want any of this, okay? I just wanted this to be over with, all right? All of the stuff that she's saying is all fabricated.
Okay. So, in other words, your counterclaim is bogus, but you put it forth because she put it forth. Now, Ms. Dominique, why isn't your claim against him bogus? Why are you suing him for a bunch of stuff that you say happened with his girlfriend? Why aren't you suing his girlfriend, which would also not go very far because you pled guilty or you took but you weren't found not guilty of that?
In my understanding, when you have an order of protection, you can't have a third party assault someone because you can't do it.
What makes you think she was assaulting you because he couldn't? What makes you say that? Maybe she just hates your guts and was doing it on her own.
She doesn't know me. She's never met me.
But you, according to your own words, you are the one who caused him to have... I'm in the middle of a sentence. You are the one who caused him to have all those problems because of the arrest. So she knows you. She knows exactly who you are. She has her own reasons to be angry. And if you really believe that he violated... If you really believe he violated a restraining order, then you go to the judge who gave you the restraining order and you try to prove he violated it. But you're coming here to court and you're asking me to assume that he sent her. And so it's all his fault. And all of your problems with your custody of your kid is his fault. Your whole world changed when you moved there because everything is his fault.
Basically.
But the truth of that may be true, that you have a spiraling problem, but you have to be able to prove that the money you're asking for here today is something he has to pay you because all that arrest was his fault. And it turns out that you didn't fight the case. In fact, you're suing him for the restitution that a court said you had to pay her. So, no. In your claim against Mr. Henry, 0. And Mr. Henry, in your claim against Ms. Dominique, 0.
So in these two competing lawsuits, nobody wins anything. Let's see how Dominique, the plaintiff, feels about the case. Dominique, you don't get anything from the judge, you lose. What do you think?
Is what it is. I ain't got nothing to say. I know when you try to do things the legal way.
Well, you've tried. Are you still living in the same place? Or are you somewhere else now? Have you moved?
No, I moved.
That's probably a good thing for you. Keep you out of trouble. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Henry, your lawsuit, you've lost that. You're probably not surprised about that, are you?
Really, tell the truth, I didn't care about the lawsuit or getting any money back for her or anything like that. I didn't want this at all. I just wanted this to be over with. I don't care about the money. All right. I lost that money, and the judge is right. I'm saying I did hit her, and, that was the outcome of it. So I can eat that.
Okay, and she's moved away. She's not there anymore, so hopefully there'll be no problems like this. Harvey, what are you thinking about this?
Doug, I got to tell you, these are very difficult times we're in right now, and people have tempers that are about that short. And to get along in this society and not to involve yourself in criminal cases and civil cases, you just got to take a breath when you're in a dispute, because these disputes happen, especially with neighbors, from time to time. And the way you handle it is going to determine whether you end up in court and can live in peace.
The fence between my house and my neighbors needs to be replaced. We are on good terms, but should we still get a survey to determine whose property the fence sits on?
I would recommend that this person get a survey done. Because right now, she's got a neighbor who is friendly, but you don't know what the future holds. The next neighbor might not be friendly,
That's right.
And there could be problems. And the other thing is, when you value a home and when you appraise a home, you talk about total square footage of the lot. That can matter. And if that fence is off, which is not uncommon, by 3 feet, 5 feet, that's diminishing the value of one home to the benefit of the other home.
Or even if it's off by a foot.
Right.
Right. And then future neighbors may have problems with each other and decide it starts to decay.
Right.
Well, whose responsibility is it to upkeep it?
And then the other wild card is the concept in law that we call adverse possession. I mean, if that fence has been in the wrong place, over 5 feet or something, for a long enough period of time, and if the other side doesn't realize it, by operation of law,
after a number of years, you may lose the ability to get them to move it.
Right, and that number of years could vary from, let's say, 7 years to 20 years, depending on what state you're in and the circumstances. But you certainly don't want to let that happen.
No, good fences make good neighbors.
Exactly.
And so we got to make sure it's a good fence.
This is the plaintiff, Angela Carlson. She says the defendant's territorial Dalmatian attacked her little dog in the park, and the lousy guy refuses to pay for her vet bills. Now she's suing and leaves it up to the judge to force this guy to pay her the $547.53 she's out. This is the defendant, Michael Nixon. He says there was a 4 or 5 dog scuffle in the park that day. Now this hostile lady's coming after him because he has a Dalmatian. His dog didn't bite anybody's dog that day. The plaintiff can't prove a thing, and he's not about to pay for something he's not responsible for. He's accused of refusing payment.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're
Ms.
welcome.
Carlson, you are suing Mr. Nixon for $547.53 in vet bills because, according to you, his dog attacked your dog. Tell me what happened.
Well, I have a little dog. He's between 9 and 10 pounds. He's a rescue dog, a little Jack Russell, and I live near that park, and I've been there hundreds of times, hundreds. And the thing is, we usually go at about 9:30 in the morning. And when I first brought my dog, because he is the littlest guy by far, I always had him on a leash. I was always careful. But he isn't aggressive and he isn't timid. He doesn't run from the big dogs. He stands his ground, lets them sniff him, but he's not an aggressive dog at all. So he's got a lot of buddies. He's got a lot of dog buddies. He's got dog friends. He looks forward to going to the park. So this Sunday, we didn't make it till about 11:30. So all the regulars none of them were there. But I looked in and I didn't see a lot of dogs. I didn't see anything that looked too scary. And I thought, Archie is he's chill. He doesn't even try to run with the big dogs. He knows he'll get rolled. He doesn't, So we go in there, and there was
I don't know how he has any fun at the park.
Right. He sniffs. He sniffs a lot of good smells and some other stuff. You're right.
Okay.
But anyway, he loves that. So anyway, so we're there, and this dog was kind of paying way too much attention to him. And the next thing I knew, my dog was screaming his head off. And I remember diving at this dog. He had no leash or collar on. And I remember grabbing for his jaws, let my little guy go, because my dog was trying to get away. So all the bites, they were deep punctures. They weren't dogs playing. Were on his backside trying to get away. There's a puncture right near his little butt and, his little wiener and all that stuff, but they were deep. And he was just, oh my God. And I had yelled, I said, whose dog is this? Because the person whose dog it was didn't even break it up. He didn't come get the dog, and then he came over and got him. And I could see my dog limping and kind of looked in shock, and I said, follow me. And the guy walked with me to to where we were leaving. And I tried to pick my dog up, and he was screaming, just in pain. And I was like, something's wrong here. And so I said, will you give me your phone number? And the guy gave me his phone number, and I asked his name.
Did he say anything? Did he say, oh, I'm so sorry?
No.
Well, did he say, I didn't see anything? Did he say, I saw it and that's not what happened? What did he say?
No. And the thing that was really a surprise to me, being a dog owner and having been in dog parks, there was no surprise oh my God, I can't believe that my dog did that. Which, looking back, I was like, okay, that's really weird. And I talked to him and I said, I was watching your dog because he didn't seem, you can tell when a dog doesn't seem socialized. He was a little skittish, a little territorial. And then, when he bit my dog, I said, you can't have a dog drawing blood at the park. I said, that is not acceptable. And he didn't say anything.
All right. And so you take the dog, you leave the park, and you take the dog to the vet right then or later?
I go home and I call all my friends, because I'm not from here originally. And I said, where's an emergency vet? Where's a really good one? Because it was a Sunday. So they sent me up to Blue Pearl. I go up there and they're like, oh, this isn't good. And they immediately give him a shot of methadone for pain, and they said he was really lucky.
Okay, did he have stitches or didn't he? Did your dog have stitches, yes or no?
They didn't do stitches because one was near his anus and one was near his urethra, and they didn't want to stitch that. I did have to follow him around to make sure he could go potty. He had to wear a ring.
So what did they do at the vet's office then?
They cleaned out those punctures because they're worried about necrotized tissue. Right. He still had a little of it, but if that happens with those little dogs, it's really bad.
Well, if that happens with any dog, it's really bad. Yeah. What happened, Seriously. Mr. Nixon? Tell me what your side of the story is.
Sure. As a dog owner, I don't have any children. These things are like my kids. I've got two myself, and I love them to death. So one reason why I walked with her is because I could see she was in distress. And so it was easy to give her, my number. And of course I didn't say anything about it being my fault because I didn't think it was.
Okay, but why don't you think it's your fault?
I feel like my Daisy is the life of the dog park. We were there for 45 minutes before she showed up. And of course there's no problems. Immediately I could tell, okay, this dog is way too small to be here.
But so what happened? To get to the point, what happened though?
So 3 minutes after she walks in, of course, the dogs are sniffing the new dog. They get in a tuff and they, a scrum, and it's just all play. And so no one thinks anything until I hear her screaming. And so I'm worried about my dog because my dog was the runt of the litter. And there are some bigger dogs around this group. And so it's funny that she says that I didn't get up because I went and picked up my dog immediately because I was scared for her to get hurt.
So what did you see happening?
So what I saw happening was what we always see, just a scrum. However,
a scrum between what dog and what dog?
Oh, I would say 3 or 4. They're all sniffing each other. They're jumping on each other. But you've got this little dog that comes in. And again, I remember making the comment to my friend, this dog seems too small to be here. And it was sort of, it did look uncomfortable. Exactly what she said. I'm not surprised
I didn't say that.
Okay. Ms. Carlson, please, no, Ms. Carlson and Mr. Nixon, the time for the two of you to talk to each other is past. You are talking to me. And if I am in the middle of inquiring of Mr. Nixon, Ms. Carlson, I don't want you to shout out because we're not at a stadium. Mr. Nixon, do not talk to her again.
Sorry.
Talk to me. Go ahead. I'm still trying to get to what you saw.
I saw this little dog instigating, nipping. Again, it looked uncomfortable at the bigger dogs. And
so it was picking on the bigger dogs.
I would say a handful of dogs were coming up to the dog and sniffing it, getting in its space.
And what was her dog doing that antagonized the other dogs?
Her dog was nipping at the other dog.
What does nipping mean? What does the word nipping mean to you? Biting?
Not being playful.
But no, that doesn't make a picture in my mind at all. Biting, nipping. When I hear the word nipping, I'm imagining this: that the dog is biting.
You're exactly
Okay, so her dog bit how many dogs? Her dog bit how many dogs?
No. Nipping in the air, like get out of my space. This is my space. Get out of my space. Stop bothering me.
I'm not understanding that because I know her dog didn't talk. So, do you mean the dog barked? What is it you actually saw? Because I'm starting to think you didn't see anything.
It's very, very common to see dogs who don't like other dogs to sniff them and get around them in their space. And that dog was uncomfortable. It was very obvious right when the dog came in that it was uncomfortable.
You're going to keep psychoanalyzing the dog and the situation? You're not going to just tell me what you saw? I'm done. All right. So I did
not see the dog.
Okay, so if you think another dog bit her dog, because I know that her dog got bit because I see the vet bills. In fact, I know her dog got bit because I see the wounds because she's showing me pictures. So I know that there was an attack. So if you didn't see the attack, then you didn't see the attack. Just say so. But I'm asking you, how did this happen to this dog? And I'm going to ask you one last time because I am a woman of immeasurable faith. How did this dog get bit like this? Do you know or do you not?
My perception until we were leaving was that there was she thinks that me and her were just walking through the gate by ourselves. There was actually a man with us and he had his dog and he left immediately and he was yelling at her and saying, you should never bring your small dog. This stuff happens. You do this all the time. You make a scene. And of course, I've never met Miss Carlson. And so I give her the benefit of the doubt. I literally hang out with her there. And I do give her my number. If I had thought
what do you think she wanted your number for, pal?
I felt bad. I did.
Right. What do you think she wanted your number for? Because if my dog didn't do anything, I wouldn't give her my number. I'd say, call the police right now. We'll stay here and we'll figure this out. But you're giving her your number. You're walking her to the door. And she says your dog attacked her dog. And I can't for the life of me get you to paint a picture because you didn't see it. So, yeah, I'm kind of ready to rule. Pay the lady $547.53. Verdict for the plaintiff.
Well, the plaintiff prevails in this case. This should be interesting talking to the defendant. Mr. Nixon, what's going on in your mind right now?
As the owner of 2 dogs, I could tell this woman was in distress. And if she needed help with her vet bills, listen, I want this little guy, Archie, to go on and live a fulfilling life and give her a lot of happiness. And so I'm okay. Listen, my dog has never bitten another dog. And
let's cut to the chase, Mr. Nixon. I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you think your dog did it? That's really the
my dog. I don't.
Do you?
I don't think it. I know my dog didn't do it because I know which dog did.
Well, you should have said that during the case. You never said that, but it cost you the case. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Ms. Carlson, let me just ask you, you've won the case. He's going to have to give you the $547. The bottom line is, how is your dog now?
Well, it's interesting that you'd ask that. He is healed, but he hasn't healed mentally. Like, the park used to be the high point of his day, and that part of his life is gone because of this guy, you know?
Oh, well, that's a shame. But anyway, listen, you brought the case to court. You've won. You're the victor in the court, and I hope your little puppy will get better and return to normal soon. Harvey, you're a dog lover. What do you think about this case?
Okay, Doug, I got to tell you, dog parks are very problematic, and I'll explain why. In many, many cities, especially in urban cities, there are leash laws where you're required to have your dog on a leash in public. In dog parks, it's obvious that people let their dogs run free, play with other dogs, and they let them off the leash. There are a few cities that actually make an exception for dog parks, but many of them don't make an exception. So technically, everybody who doesn't have a dog on a leash in a dog park is violating the leash law. And then you take your chances if the dog is bitten. But as a practical matter, a lot of judges don't enforce the leash law in dog parks.
If the water in my place smells like rotten eggs so badly it makes me want to throw up, can I withhold rent until the landlord fixes the issue?
There's a whole spectrum of things that a tenant can do when they're being mistreated or not getting a proper apartment in
a habitable
condition.
Place.
A habitable place, right. But what this person is suggesting is going from 0 to 100 immediately and just saying, I'm going to withhold rent. You know, the best thing probably to do is to first make a phone call, then send a letter, an email or something following up, get it in writing that you're having these discussions, give them notice. But this problem about egg-smelling water, have you ever been to a place that had water that smelled like eggs?
I've been, I feel like at some point in my life I have smelled water and said, ew, what is that, too much iron, or what it is?
It's sulfur dioxide that gets into the water from the earth, and it's kind of nasty. I've drank well water a few times and stayed in places where that was the only water source from wells that had this awful rotten egg-smelling water. And if you have to wash your clothes in it, they're probably going to smell like it. Your towels, they're not going to smell April fresh when you put your nose on them. You're going to gag a little bit maybe. So what I'm wondering is, when somebody moved into an apartment, when you get the apartment, I'm like, well, why didn't you know that? Yeah, and then you stop and think about it. Well, because you don't drink the water.
No,
you just go, that looks really good.
But that is a good idea. That is a good idea. Right. Whenever you're looking at a place to buy or looking at a place to rent, maybe turn the water on, flush the toilet, walk, make sure you, but, it's true. It's 0 to 100 too quickly. First reach out and have a record of reaching out. You got to give the landlord a chance to respond and address it. And if your landlord won't take care of it, then you take care of it and deduct that from the rent. You have that right also.
Right, absolutely. And the landlord should take care of it.
Yeah.
If he's a good egg, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.